Hello, movie lovers! Imagine being the most confident, fashionable girl in Los Angeles, then suddenly moving to a city where everyone seems to hate everything you represent. Elle arrives in Seattle wearing pink, dreaming about popularity, cheerleading, and romance. Instead, she gets mocked, blamed for getting a woman fired, caught in a corruption scandal, and tangled between two completely different boys. But the girl everyone assumes is shallow soon proves she has more courage than anyone expected. As friendships collapse, secrets are exposed, and romance becomes dangerously complicated. Elle must decide whether to run back to her perfect old life or fight for the person she is becoming. And wait until you see who confesses his feelings at the end. Come on, friends, let's begin. The story begins in 1995, on the night of Elle's 16th birthday. Every room in her family's enormous Los Angeles mansion is covered in different shades of pink, from the balloons and streamers to the frosting on the cake and even the cup in her hand. Elle moves through the party like she belongs inside a living Barbie commercial, surrounded by classmates, music, expensive decorations, and the kind of comfort that has always made life feel simple. When she takes the microphone, she thanks everyone for coming and gives a special shout-out to Madison, her best friend of more than 10 years. The two girls have shared nearly every important moment together, and Elle cannot imagine a future that does not include her. As soon as the speech is over, Elle pulls Madison aside and excitedly lists her goals for the upcoming school year. First, she wants to become close with the most popular girls at school. Second, she plans to make the cheerleading squad. And third, most importantly, she wants Josh, the hottest guy in their entire social circle. The moment Josh approaches, all of Elle's confidence disappears. She can usually talk endlessly, but around him she can barely form a sentence. Luckily, Josh seems ready to say something important. He looks nervous, and Elle realizes he may finally confess that he likes her. Before he can get the words out, however, Elle's mother calls her over to blow out the candles. The romantic moment dies instantly. Elle joins her parents by the cake, still convinced she will have another chance later. But the mood changes when she notices both of them wearing serious expressions. After the guests leave, her parents explain that the family must move to Seattle. Elle's father is a cosmetic surgeon, and one of his recent procedures ended disastrously. The patient's case has damaged his reputation, attracted humiliating attention, and made remaining in Los Angeles nearly impossible. Moving is their only practical option. Elle is devastated. She cannot imagine leaving Madison, her school, her entire social life, and Josh, who was only seconds away from telling her how he felt. She breaks down in tears and refuses to believe this is really happening. Elle tries to make herself feel better by shopping, but even expensive clothes cannot lift her mood. Her mother eventually brings home a puppy, hoping the responsibility and companionship will give Elle something positive to focus on. The gift helps for a moment, yet nothing can erase the reality that her old life is ending. Soon the family arrives in Seattle, where pouring rain and gray skies greet them. Their new house is large, but its dark colors and gloomy design make it feel abandoned compared with the bright mansion Elle loved in California. Still, Elle tells herself she has to try. On her first morning of school, she wakes up with determination, puts on an elaborate pink outfit, fixes her hair perfectly, and walks into the building as though confidence alone can force the city to accept her. The hallway immediately tells her otherwise. Almost every student is dressed in black, gray, or another dark color. The entire school seems to have adopted Seattle's cloudy atmosphere as a personality. Elle's bright dress makes her impossible to ignore, and students respond with smirks, whispered comments, and openly hostile stares. She refuses to let the reaction destroy her smile. In her first class, she sits beside a girl named Liz and tries to begin a friendly conversation. Elle explains that she just moved from Los Angeles, that she loves coffee, and that pink is her favorite color. Liz looks at her as if the introduction must be part of a prank. She asks whether Kimberly put her up to this, then puts on her headphones and turns away. Elle spends the rest of the morning trying to stay cheerful despite one awkward encounter after another. Then she sees a boy handing out flyers and hears him speak with a British accent. Feeling like she has finally discovered someone equally out of place, she rushes over and asks whether he is from England. The boy, Dustin, says he was born there but has lived in Seattle for 10 years, more than half his life. Elle grabs one of the flyers and asks what he is promoting. Dustin sarcastically explains that the school's support workers are underpaid and that students are organizing to demand better wages. These are real problems, he says, not fashion emergencies from whatever fantasy world Elle lives in. His tone makes it clear that he has already judged her based on her appearance. He walks away before she can defend herself. With no better plan, Elle returns to Liz and asks where she can find the most popular girl in school. Liz, now convinced Elle is hopelessly shallow, points toward Kimberly, a confident girl with curly hair sitting at a crowded table. Elle walks over and sits beside Kimberly and her friends as if she has been invited. She jumps into their conversation with forced enthusiasm, expecting charm to create instant friendship. Instead, Kimberly immediately challenges her. When she learns Elle moved from Los Angeles, she says Seattle is nothing like that city. The students here care about women's rights, unfair systems, labor issues, and the problems affecting real people. Their lives do not revolve around designer labels and popularity rankings. Kimberly also makes it clear that strangers cannot simply force their way into the group. Embarrassed, Elle leaves the table. She heads to the main office and asks the principal's secretary, Donna, whether she can take a sick day. Donna treats her more warmly than anyone else has so far. She talks with Elle for several minutes, trying to help her adjust. Donna jokes that she likes bending rules when students need help. If Elle ever requires a form signed, needs money, or wants to organize something behind the administration's back, Donna says she can probably assist. The conversation touches Elle because she desperately needed one adult to make her feel welcome. Elle then signs up for cheerleading, hoping to accomplish at least one goal from her birthday list. Even that becomes complicated. The team captain explains that their group does not believe women should exist only to cheer for male athletes. If boys want encouragement, they can cheer for themselves. Elle is technically accepted, but the squad is nothing like the glamorous team she imagined. On her way out, she bumps into Miles, a member of the track team. Unlike most students, he apologizes sincerely and asks her name. The small act of kindness stays with her. When Elle gets home, Madison calls from the new phone installed in her car. Because the service is extremely expensive, Madison warns they only have 2 minutes. Elle rapidly describes the miserable day, saying she feels as if she speaks a different language from everyone at the school. Madison suggests that Elle try speaking their language instead. She should adapt to their style without completely abandoning her own. The idea excites Elle. She finds a black shirt featuring a famous rock band and adds several small pink accessories. The next morning, she enters school certain that the outfit will finally prove she can fit in. Kimberly takes one look at her and laughs. She calls the outfit a disaster and says it may be the worst thing Elle has ever worn. The insult destroys Elle's confidence. She rushes home and cries, only to discover that her mother has transformed the dark bedroom into a perfect copy of her old pink room. Elle is overwhelmed. She hugs her mother and admits she must be shallow if pink walls and curtains are enough to make her happy. Her mother refuses to let her think that way. She tells Elle that loving beautiful things does not make her worthless. Elle is kind, hopeful, and sincere, and eventually the students will see those qualities. She simply needs time. The reassurance restores enough confidence for Elle to try again. The following day, she sees Dustin selling small items to raise money for the school's support staff. Elle recognizes an opportunity to prove she cares about something beyond fashion. She joins him and uses her natural sales ability to attract customers. Miles happens to pass by and buys an item, partly because he is curious about her. Encouraged, Elle begins giving an emotional speech about how much the support workers deserve appreciation. She uses Donna as her main example, explaining that the secretary regularly breaks rules to help students and even lends them money. The speech works. Students buy everything Dustin is selling. Unfortunately, Elle has accidentally revealed Donna's misconduct in front of the entire school. Word reaches the administration, and Donna is fired. Kimberly wastes no time telling Elle that Donna lost her job because of her. She says Elle needs to leave her cheerful fantasy world and understand that actions have consequences. Once again, the students look at Elle with disgust. She wanted to help and somehow caused more damage. At home, Elle asks her parents what can be done. Her mother explains that Donna was not fired only for bending harmless rules. She had also taken money from the school safe to give students. Even if she meant well, it was illegal, and there is no guarantee she kept none of it for herself. Elle refuses to believe Donna is a thief. When her parents will not support her, she returns to school and asks Kimberly to help organize a petition demanding Donna's reinstatement. Kimberly laughs at the idea and says Elle sounds as if she was raised inside a cartoon. She walks away with her friends, leaving Elle alone. Elle calls Madison and explains everything. Madison changes the subject by mentioning that a major fashion magazine has opened applications for a design scholarship. If Elle wins, she can return to Los Angeles, and her parents will have no reason to stop her. Elle decides to apply secretly. If she is accepted, she will announce it as a finished decision. Before giving up on Donna, Elle approaches Liz and asks whether she would support a petition. Liz stares at her as though she has lost her mind. Elle then walks into the principal's office and directly asks whether Donna has any chance of getting her position back. During the conversation, an assistant enters and gives the principal an orange jacket she claims to have found in his car. Elle notices the framed photograph of his red-haired wife and immediately decides he must be having an affair. In Elle's world, a red-haired woman wearing orange is too serious, a fashion violation to be believable. Elle visits Donna at her new job and promises to repair the damage. Donna asks her to stop. She says Elle should focus on making friends instead of creating more trouble. Elle leaves feeling defeated. Every good intention seems to become another mistake. Just when Elle begins to believe she has no place in Seattle, a girl approaches with a warm smile and a gift. She introduces herself as Shannon, the head of the school's social committee. Shannon says she has wanted to speak with Elle since the first day because she considers her a genuine fashion icon. Elle assumes it must be another prank, but Shannon insists she is serious. She describes herself as a feminist who believes women should support one another through good moments and bad ones. Then she hands Elle the present and hurries to class. Elle feels as if the entire day has suddenly changed. Her excitement fades, however, when she later sees Shannon sitting comfortably with Kimberly. Convinced the gift was part of some cruel joke, Elle finds Dustin and asks how a nice girl with excellent taste can possibly be friends with Kimberly. Dustin explains that Shannon gets along with almost everyone and knows nearly every student in the building. Her mother is also a well-known author. Elle looks more carefully at the gift and realizes it is a copy of Shannon's mother's book. Seeing another opportunity to connect, Elle suggests that her own mother attend the author's upcoming book signing. She describes it as the perfect chance to meet sophisticated women in their new city. Her mother agrees. At first, the event goes smoothly, but then Elle's mother begins discussing the themes of failure and recovery in the book. She uses their own experience as an example, explaining in dramatic detail how her husband's failed cosmetic procedure forced them to leave their mansion in Los Angeles and move into another mansion in Seattle. The author's expression makes it clear that she does not consider this the same type of hardship described in her work. Elle is mortified. For the first time, she recognizes how shallow and privileged her family may sound to people with different experiences. She quickly pulls her mother away before the conversation becomes more embarrassing. Later, Elle's father notices that she is upset and asks what happened. She says she does not hate her mother, but regrets bringing her to the event. Her mother is passing outside the room and overhears the conversation. The words hurt deeply because she had only been trying to help her daughter adjust. The next day, Elle visits the record store where Liz works and pretends the meeting is accidental. She casually reveals that she has an extra ticket to a concert by Liz's favorite band. Liz has been searching everywhere for a ticket and reluctantly agrees to go. At the venue, Elle is overwhelmed by the loud music, aggressive crowd, and chaotic energy. Her cultural experience is closer to formal concerts and opera, so the heavy rock performance feels completely unfamiliar. Then Kimberly appears and asks Liz why she is spending time with the girl who got her mother fired. Elle finally understands that Donna is Liz's mother. Liz storms away, and Elle follows to apologize. Liz tells her the truth. If Elle continues investigating Donna's dismissal or revealing the principal's secrets, the consequences will fall on Liz too. She could lose her place at the school or face retaliation. Liz begs Elle to stop trying to help because every new effort creates another problem. Dustin sees Elle sitting alone and asks what happened. She explains that she tried to support the staff and got Donna fired. Then she tried to fix the situation and discovered that helping could place Liz in danger. She cannot understand why everything is so complicated. Dustin pulls her into the crowd, hoping music and movement will help her stop thinking. Elle does not know how to dance in the wild style around her. She stands stiffly while people crash into one another. The moment she begins relaxing, someone accidentally strikes her in the head and knocks her down. Miles appears, lifts her from the floor, and takes her to the hospital. His concern makes Elle feel genuinely cared for. Later, while walking her dog through a park, Elle sees Miles sitting closely with Shannon. Their body language suggests they are more than friends. Elle immediately decides to avoid Miles. She is not willing to betray Shannon, one of the first people who offered friendship. The next morning, Elle enters a cafe wearing a disguise so she will not have to face anyone. Instead, she walks directly into Shannon, Miles, and Kimberly sitting together. She pretends everything is normal, but the encounter strengthens her determination to win the fashion scholarship and escape Seattle. As she completes the application, one question asks how a stranger would describe her. Elle happily imagines the answer: stylish, generous, confident, beautiful, and kind. Her confidence survives until she reaches school and discovers a cruel insult written across her locker. The word attacks her character and suggests she is sexually immoral. Elle is horrified. She tries cleaning it, but the marker will not come off. Finally, she steals a sticker from Dustin's locker and uses it to cover the writing. The next day, Elle wears a high-necked sweater, almost as if she can prove her innocence through clothing. She wants to tell her mother about the harassment, but finds her busy planning a welcome party. Elle decides not to interrupt. At school, she sees an invitation to a party at Kimberly's home and recognizes the handwriting as the same handwriting used on her locker. She confronts Kimberly and asks why she hates her. Kimberly says she does not care about Elle personally. What concerns her is the way Elle looks at Miles. Shannon has been Kimberly's friend for years, and Kimberly will not allow the new girl to interfere in that relationship. Elle hides how deeply the accusation affects her and pretends she cannot imagine doing such a thing. Elle continues trying to befriend Liz, sitting beside her at breakfast. Liz finally asks why Elle keeps appearing every few minutes. They have almost nothing in common. When Liz walks away, Kimberly approaches, ready to make another comment. Elle panics and blurts out that she already has a boyfriend. She calls Dustin over and introduces him as that boyfriend. To her surprise, Dustin immediately supports the lie. Dustin later explains that his cooperation comes with a price. He wants Elle's help exposing the principal, whom he suspects of accepting bribes and misusing school funds. Elle agrees only if they work legally and involve a lawyer. She will not risk causing more harm to Liz. They approach Elle's mother for advice. Instead of listening, her mother judges Dustin by his clothes and appearance, joking that he looks like an escaped criminal. Elle becomes angry and accuses her of doing exactly what everyone did to her. She announces that she will not attend her mother's welcome party because she and Dustin are going to Kimberly's gathering. The invitation says it is a pool party, so Elle arrives in a swimsuit. The pool is actually empty and being used as a skateboarding area. Everyone else is fully dressed. Elle is humiliated and demands to know why Dustin did not warn her. She hides in the nearest room and calls Liz, leaving a voicemail asking for clothes. Before ending the message, Elle says they do not need to be similar to become friends. She admires Liz because she does not care what people think and remains loyal to the things she loves. Donna happens to hear the message beside her daughter. She encourages Liz to give Elle a chance. Despite her superficial appearance, Elle was the only student who visited Donna after she lost her job. That means something. Liz arrives but refuses to bring cover-up clothes. She tells Elle that if the swimsuit reflects her style and she feels good wearing it, she should not hide to satisfy anyone else. The encouragement transforms Elle's embarrassment into confidence. She walks into the party, joins Dustin, sings with the crowd, and acts as though her outfit was completely intentional. Then she discovers Dustin distributing flyers calling students to protest against the principal. Elle is furious because they agreed to pursue the issue legally. She grabs the papers and tears them away. Liz intervenes and tells Dustin that Elle is trying to protect her. He should not interpret caution as betrayal. The following day, Shannon gives Elle a container of pink paint to cover the insult on her locker. The gesture confirms that Elle is beginning to build genuine friendships. At home, a voicemail from Madison plays while Elle's mother is nearby. Madison congratulates her for advancing to the first round of the fashion scholarship. Elle's mother immediately asks what scholarship she means and why the application was kept secret. Elle says she wanted to wait until she knew whether the opportunity was real. Unexpectedly, her mother becomes excited. She promises that if Elle wins, she will return to Los Angeles with her rather than let her go alone. Elle is confused by how easily the plan is accepted. Inspired by her changing position at school, Elle decides to propose a proper beginning-of-year celebration. She creates a detailed presentation and delivers it to the Student Affairs Committee, which includes Kimberly and her friends. Kimberly argues that Seattle is not Los Angeles. They do not have a traditional cheerleading squad, and nobody wants a colorful fantasy designed entirely around Elle's taste. Elle responds that new ideas always attract criticism and asks them to try something different. Most committee members support her, forcing Kimberly to approve the plan. Kimberly volunteers to handle the cheerleading group. Soon afterward, Shannon tells Elle that she and Miles have broken up. Their relationship has felt wrong since he returned from New York after the summer. Shannon is hurt but also relieved. Elle struggles to hide the joy rising inside her. She pretends to be shocked and says they seemed like the perfect couple. Guilt over her attraction to Miles leads Elle to ask her mother what someone should do after falling for a person they are not supposed to love. Her mother says there is no simple cure. Once the heart chooses someone, feelings are difficult to remove. She reminds Elle that the scholarship may soon take them away from Seattle, making the entire situation temporary. Elle promises herself that she will ignore Miles and focus on the party. Kimberly once again creates trouble. On the day of the yearbook photo shoot, Elle arrives expecting the cheerleaders, only to discover Kimberly never informed anyone. Shannon takes Elle to a private place she visits when she needs to escape. There, she gives practical advice. Stop planning the event according to what Elle personally wants and discover what the students actually enjoy. People will participate only when they feel represented. The idea changes Elle's entire strategy. She asks Liz for help because Liz understands the school's different groups better than anyone. Liz distributes flyers and attracts students with the same homemade sweets Donna once shared around campus. Elle personally organizes the cheerleading element rather than trusting Kimberly. When the party arrives, the venue is packed. Elle looks around in disbelief. For the first time since moving, she has created something successful by listening to people rather than trying to impress them. She feels proud, not because the room looks like Los Angeles, but because it belongs to everyone. During the party, Liz notices the way Dustin watches Elle and asks whether he has feelings for her. Dustin immediately denies it. He jokes that he could never fall for someone who looks like a living Barbie doll. His reaction is too defensive to be convincing, but Liz lets the subject go. Because the event succeeds, Shannon invites Elle to help plan the next major project, a winter formal designed to raise money for the school's support staff. Elle is thrilled. For the first time, students are not simply tolerating her, they are asking for her ideas. Miles finds Elle standing outside in the cold and gently places his jacket around her shoulders. The quiet moment begins to feel romantic. Then Elle notices her mother nearby, recording everything on a video camera as if the scene belongs in a family documentary. Furious and embarrassed, Elle grabs the tape and throws it into the trash. She tells her mother that her private life is not material to be shown to the entire school. The argument quickly moves to the scholarship. Elle admits that she originally applied only because she wanted an excuse to return to Los Angeles. She hated Seattle, feared change, and believed winning would force her parents to take her back. But everything has changed. She now has friends, responsibilities, and a growing sense that she belongs. She no longer wants to leave. Elle refuses to ride home with her family and walks through the rain instead. Along the way, she meets Miles. Overwhelmed by the argument and all the feelings she has been hiding, she runs into his arms. The emotional connection between them becomes impossible to deny. By the time Elle reaches home, guilt replaces excitement. Miles ended a 2-year relationship with Shannon only 2 days earlier. Even if his feelings for Elle are real, there is no way he has fully processed the breakup. More importantly, Shannon trusted her. Elle decides she must tell Shannon everything and accept whatever consequence follows. The next morning, she rushes to school, hoping to confess. Before she can speak, she learns that Shannon's mother was killed in a car accident after the party. Any discussion about Miles becomes unthinkable. Elle pushes aside her own problems and focuses on supporting Shannon. Kimberly, usually confident and hostile, sits alone in shock. She had offered to organize a memorial tribute for Shannon's mother, but cannot think clearly enough to plan it. The woman had treated Kimberly almost like another daughter. Elle volunteers to take over. Despite their history, Kimberly accepts because the loss matters more than their rivalry. Miles is equally devastated. Elle tells him their relationship must remain on hold until she can speak honestly with Shannon and know that she is comfortable. For now, Miles should stay beside his former girlfriend as a friend and help her through the tragedy. He agrees, understanding that this is not the moment to focus on romance. When Elle returns home, her mother asks whether she forgot they were expecting a guest. Elle has no idea what she means. Then Madison walks into the room. Months earlier, they planned for Madison to spend a week in Seattle, but Elle became so absorbed in her new life that the visit disappeared from her mind. Elle tries to hide the mistake so Madison will not feel replaced. Unfortunately, her attention remains fixed on the memorial. The first place she takes Madison is Liz's record store, where they discuss appropriate music for the tribute. Madison notices that Elle has changed. She knows new people, speaks about community issues, and seems less interested in the world they once shared. Madison attempts to ignore her discomfort until Elle's father casually asks whether she knows Elle withdrew from the scholarship. He says it appears she has fallen in love with Seattle. Madison is hurt because such important news should have come directly from her best friend. Elle takes Madison to the memorial event, promising they will stay only 30 minutes to make sure everything is organized before exploring the city together. The promise becomes impossible to keep. Kimberly secretly pours alcohol into the punch, believing the gathering needs something to loosen the sadness. Madison introduces herself to Dustin as Elle's closest friend. Dustin seems surprised and jokes that this is the first time he has ever heard her name. The comment confirms Madison's fear that Elle has built an entirely new life without mentioning the person who believed they were inseparable. She confronts Elle. She asks whether they are really best friends when nobody in Seattle knows she exists. She also demands to know why Elle hid her decision to abandon the scholarship. Under pressure, Elle admits the truth. She did keep it secret because she was afraid to say she had come to love Seattle and no longer wanted to return. Madison coldly says that when the old Elle comes back, they can continue their friendship. She walks away. Elle starts to follow, but another crisis interrupts. Kimberly, now intoxicated, grabs the microphone and begins giving an inappropriate speech. Elle takes the microphone away and finishes the tribute with dignity. At the worst possible moment, Miles decides he can no longer hide what happened between him and Elle. He tells Shannon about their growing feelings during her mother's memorial. Shannon breaks down. She asks whether this is why he became distant before their breakup. She is also furious that he chose the day honoring her mother to reveal something so painful. Miles had assumed Shannon was coping because she remained composed in public. He realizes too late that her strength was only a mask. Afterward, he rushes to Elle's home and explains the disaster. Elle begs him not to do anything else until she can speak to Shannon at school. The opportunity never comes. Kimberly announces that Shannon has left Seattle to live with her father. Elle believes she has lost the chance to apologize. While Elle struggles with grief and guilt, her mother secretly completes and submits the fashion scholarship application on her behalf. She believes she is protecting Elle's future, even though Elle clearly said she no longer wanted to apply. Elle later notices that the intersection where Shannon's mother died has no traffic light. She and Liz file a request with the Community Affairs Office to have one installed. Elle hopes the effort may eventually show Shannon that she truly cares. The clerk surprises them by saying the request has already been approved. The school principal personally promised to collect the funds for the installation, yet no work has begun. The information connects with Dustin's suspicions. The principal may be using school and community projects to steal money. Elle brings Dustin, Liz, and Miles together. They visit Donna at her new job and ask whether she has evidence of financial misconduct. Donna says she never carefully tracked the principal's actions. Without proof, the students decide they must search his office. Elle creates a plan. Each member of the group will deliberately earn weekend detention, giving them access to an almost empty school. Dustin skateboards through the hallways. Miles pretends to sleep in class and places a bottle of alcohol in his bag. Elle is supposed to smash cake into the principal's face. Her manners prevent her from doing it. Instead, she politely gives him the cake and walks away. Somehow, she still appears for detention as though she was officially punished. The group is surprised to find Kimberly there as well. Elle concentrates on the mission. She slips into the janitor's room and cuts the strap holding the school keys. Liz creates a distraction by clogging toilets and flooding the bathroom. The janitor leaves to handle the emergency, giving Miles an opportunity to take the office key. The plan nearly fails when the principal appears unexpectedly. They improvise using a classmate's pet rat, placing it near the pipes and claiming the animal is trapped. Elle creates a dramatic scene and demands that the janitor rescue the innocent creature. The principal reluctantly calls him over. During the confusion, Elle takes the key and passes it to Miles. Miles enters the principal's office and photographs financial documents. Then the principal notices he is missing from detention. Elle discovers a mischievous side she never knew she possessed. She sets a piece of paper on fire beneath the alarm. Sprinklers activate, water pours through the building, and everyone is forced into confusion. By the time the principal regains control, Miles has copied the files. When the group meets afterward, Miles reveals another discovery. He found a family photograph in the office. The principal may not merely be cheating on his wife. He appears to have another wife and child. Liz suddenly runs toward them in panic. Donna has been arrested for stealing school funds. She visited campus to drop off Liz's lunchbox, and police claimed money was found in her possession. Elle immediately believes the principal planted it to silence her. Elle brings her parents to the police station. With their help, Donna is released pending investigation. The following day, they meet a lawyer. He explains that without direct evidence, Donna faces serious criminal charges. Elle suggests creating testimonial videos in which students describe Donna's kindness and explain how she helped them. The first attempt fails. Some students refuse to participate. Others speak carelessly and make Donna look even more suspicious. At home, Elle tells her mother how powerless she feels. Her mother argues that Donna may truly be guilty. She lied about breaking rules and admitted taking money from the safe. Elle becomes angry. She asks whether her mother, placed in Donna's position, would ignore struggling students or find a way to help them. She also points out that everyone sometimes lies to protect family or survive a crisis. The argument changes Elle's view of her mother. She tells Miles that all her life she imagined growing into someone exactly like her. Recently, however, she has begun wondering whether the woman she idolized exists only in her childhood memory. Miles tells Elle she does not need to become her mother or anyone else. She only needs to become herself. The group gathers at Donna's home to organize a better recording effort. Kimberly unexpectedly joins them. She convinces students to speak honestly and respectfully about Donna's impact. Elle stays awake until sunrise with real friends, something she has never experienced before. The exhaustion makes her happier than any glamorous party in Los Angeles. Their plan is to play the completed video during the ceremony welcoming the new mayor. Then Donna turns herself in and confesses to stealing the money. Elle is devastated. She tells Dustin that Donna must be protecting Liz or someone else. In the middle of her breakdown, Elle realizes the accounting records may have been altered. The new mayor could be working with the principal. The public traffic light fundraising, school money, and political ceremony may all be part of the same scheme. Elle walks onto the stage during the mayor's ceremony and takes the microphone. She begins by accusing the principal of dishonesty and joking that his supposed wife has red hair, so the orange jacket found in his car could never belong to her. The crowd laughs, which breaks the tension. Then Elle presents the real evidence. Financial records show that the principal diverted community funds and divided the money with the new mayor. The revelation clears Donna. She returns to her job as secretary, while a former teacher is appointed principal. The school organizes a small celebration honoring Elle's courage and persistence. For once, it appears the story may end happily. Then Shannon enters. Shannon walks into the celebration and immediately destroys the mood. She asks Elle whether stealing Miles was not enough and whether she now intends to steal Shannon's friends as well. Then she produces a magazine article published under Elle's name. The piece was part of the final scholarship application that Elle's mother secretly submitted. It contains Elle's original explanation for wanting to leave Seattle. The writing is filled with cruel descriptions of the city, its gloomy atmosphere, and the strange students she believed she would never understand. Everyone reads the words as proof that Elle's friendship was fake. Elle tries to explain that the essay was written shortly after she arrived, before she knew them, before the party, before Donna's case, and before Seattle became home. Shannon repeatedly interrupts, refusing to let her finish. The other students hear only fragments. The celebration ends with Elle standing alone in the same school that had finally begun to accept her. She goes home and confronts her mother. Elle reminds her that she clearly withdrew from the scholarship and did not want any more material submitted. Her mother ignores the emotional damage and announces excitedly that Elle has been accepted. She claims she only completed the process because she knows what is best for her daughter. Los Angeles offers fashion, opportunity, and people who understand Elle's world. Seattle is a temporary mistake. Elle refuses to agree. She says she loves the city and does not want to run away. The argument exposes how differently they now understand happiness. Her mother believes returning to the familiar will repair everything. Elle has learned that familiar does not always mean right. The next day, Elle goes to school and enters the principal's office. Using the intercom, she apologizes to the entire student body. She explains that the article reflected the frightened person she was when she first arrived, not the person she has become. She admits she judged Seattle and its students before knowing them. She asks for one chance to prove that the friendships mattered. The apology changes nothing. Elle walks through the hallway while Liz, Dustin, Miles, Kimberly, and the others avoid her eyes. Their silence hurts more than the insults she received on her first day. Unable to bear the rejection, Elle calls her mother and says she was right. They should return to Los Angeles. Soon, mother and daughter leave Seattle alone. Elle enters the scholarship program and devotes herself to fashion work, hoping discipline will erase the memories. On the surface, she has recovered the life she wanted. The weather is bright, the clothes are colorful, and she is surrounded by people who understand her aesthetic. Yet something feels missing. The old life no longer fits because Elle is no longer the same girl who left it. In Seattle, Dustin, Liz, and Miles are hurt by the speed of her departure. From their perspective, Elle asked for forgiveness once and then vanished rather than remaining long enough to rebuild trust. They decide to organize the winter donation formal without her. Dustin repeatedly insists that the event must reflect their identity, not Elle's. He wants it to look as different from her glamorous vision as possible. Elle performs well in the scholarship program. During a presentation, she shows one of her designs to an internationally respected designer. The woman is impressed and asks Elle's name so she can remember her. It is the kind of recognition Elle once believed would solve every problem. That evening, her mother hosts another elegant party at their Los Angeles home. In the middle of the gathering, the patient whose cosmetic procedure was ruined by Elle's father arrives and creates a public scene. She humiliates the family, describing the damage and accusing them of escaping responsibility. Elle's mother is overwhelmed. Once again, she wants to avoid shame by leaving instead of confronting it. Watching her mother panic, Elle finally understands the pattern. Their move was not only about her father's career. Her mother has spent years running from uncomfortable truths, protecting appearances, and deciding that a new location can erase old consequences. The scholarship application was another attempt to escape. Elle pulls her mother aside and says they need to return to Seattle. She is not ready for the scholarship, regardless of how talented she may be. Fashion can wait. What matters now is facing the people she hurt and learning alongside friends rather than hiding inside a life designed by her mother. For the first time, her mother listens. She recognizes that forcing Elle into the opportunity may repeat the same mistake she made with every other crisis. She agrees to go back. At the Seattle airport, Elle unexpectedly sees Shannon preparing to leave. She seizes the chance to apologize directly. She asks whether Shannon exposed the article because she wanted revenge. Shannon does not deny being angry, but the conversation is calmer than before. Elle explains that she never intended to humiliate her and never wanted to replace her. Shannon eventually forgives her. She adds that if Elle has been avoiding Miles out of loyalty to her, she no longer needs to. Shannon is moving away and does not plan to return. She gives Elle permission to stop treating the relationship as forbidden. Then she says goodbye and leaves. Elle's father tells her that the winter donation formal is happening that evening. She begs him to drive her there immediately. Traffic is completely stopped, so Elle gets out and runs through the city. When she arrives, she discovers the formal contains many of the ideas she once proposed. Despite Dustin's insistence that it should look nothing like her vision, the students kept the details that worked. The room is warm, colorful, and full of people contributing to the support staff fundraiser. Liz is on stage singing publicly for the first time. Elle finds Dustin and stands beside him. He responds with a cold expression. She asks whether he truly hates her now. Dustin finally admits that anger was never the entire reason he was hurt. He has feelings for her. His sarcasm, constant arguments, and refusal to take her seriously were ways of hiding how much she mattered. He leans closer, ready to kiss her. Across the room, Miles sees them. He had imagined his reunion with Elle many times, but never expected to find Dustin confessing his love. The season ends before Elle chooses between them. The unresolved moment completes Elle's transformation without giving her an easy romantic answer. At the beginning, she wanted Josh because he was the hottest and most popular boy in her social world. By the end, her feelings involve two people who know very different parts of her. Miles represents gentleness, emotional safety, and the attraction she tried to suppress out of loyalty to Shannon. Dustin represents challenge, growth, and the friendship that forced Elle to question her privilege and use her confidence for something beyond popularity. Her choice is complicated because the story is no longer about checking a boy's name off a birthday list. It is about deciding which relationship reflects the person she has become. Elle's move to Seattle begins as a punishment in her mind. She sees rain, dark clothes, political conversations, and unfamiliar music as proof that everyone around her is miserable. The students make the opposite mistake by seeing pink clothes and wealth as proof that Elle is stupid. Much of the conflict comes from people reducing one another to appearances. Elle is unquestionably privileged and often careless. She reveals Donna's rule-breaking without understanding the consequences, assumes the principal is cheating because of a jacket color, treats friendship as a popularity strategy, and believes every problem can be solved through enthusiasm. Yet her optimism is not entirely empty. Once she recognizes a problem, she refuses to stop caring. Donna's case becomes the clearest example. Elle causes the original harm, but instead of protecting herself, she keeps searching for the truth. Her mistakes create more complications, yet her persistence eventually exposes corruption involving both the principal and the mayor. The same quality Kimberly mocks as childish becomes the force that clears an innocent woman. Liz initially sees Elle as a shallow stranger responsible for her family's pain. Their friendship develops only after Elle admits they do not need shared taste, music, or clothes to care about each other. Liz's decision not to bring clothes to the pool party teaches Elle a lesson she had been trying to teach everyone else. Confidence means remaining yourself, not changing costumes to earn approval. Dustin challenges Elle more aggressively. He introduces her to labor issues, questions her fantasy-like worldview, and uses sarcasm whenever he believes she is ignoring reality. Elle, in turn, forces him to recognize that passion without strategy can hurt the people he wants to protect. His protest flyers may feel courageous, but they risk placing Liz and Donna in greater danger. Their fake relationship begins as a convenient lie and gradually exposes real emotional dependence. Shannon's friendship is more painful because it begins with generosity and becomes tangled with grief and romance. Elle genuinely cares about her, but she also hides feelings for Miles. Miles makes the situation worse by confessing at the memorial, a moment when Shannon is least capable of handling another loss. Her anger is understandable, even when her later public confrontation prevents Elle from explaining. Kimberly spends much of the season acting as Elle's enemy. She humiliates her clothes, sabotages the cheerleading plan, writes an insult on her locker, and uses every opportunity to make her feel unwelcome. But Kimberly's behavior comes partly from loyalty to Shannon and partly from distrust of Elle's privilege. After Shannon's mother dies and Donna is accused, Kimberly begins working with the same girl she once mocked. The change shows that solidarity can emerge when personal rivalry becomes less important than justice. Elle's relationship with her mother mirrors her relationship with Seattle. At first, her mother seems supportive and loving. She recreates Elle's bedroom, encourages her confidence, and promises to return to Los Angeles if the scholarship succeeds. Over time, Elle recognizes that her mother's love is mixed with fear and control. She assumes she knows what Elle needs, completes the application without permission, and treats leaving as the solution to every uncomfortable problem. Elle does not stop loving her mother. Instead, she begins seeing her as a flawed person rather than a perfect model. That realization is part of growing up. Miles's advice that Elle should become herself, not a copy of anyone else, gives her permission to separate love from imitation. The fashion scholarship also changes meaning. At first, it is Elle's escape route. Later, it becomes proof that she has genuine talent. Walking away is therefore not a rejection of fashion or ambition. It is a decision about timing and emotional honesty. She can return to design when the opportunity belongs to her, rather than functioning as her mother's way of avoiding Seattle. The final formal demonstrates how much influence Elle had even after leaving. Her friends claimed they would create an event completely different from her ideas, yet many of her details remain because they were useful. Seattle changed Elle, but Elle also changed the school. She introduced color, celebration, and the belief that activism does not have to look joyless. At the same time, the school taught her that good intentions require listening, context, and responsibility. By ending on Dustin's confession and Miles's reaction, the season avoids giving Elle another simple fantasy. She cannot return to the girl who selected a crush because he ranked highest on a list. Any decision now will affect friendships and force her to consider compatibility, trust, and the consequences of hidden feelings. The girl who once entered Seattle believing everyone needed to become more like her now returns because she understands she still has more to learn from them. That is the real resolution of the season. Romance remains uncertain, but Elle finally chooses a community, not because it flatters her identity, but because it helped her discover one. Several smaller moments throughout the season reinforce that transformation. Elle's puppy, the dark house, the failed rock shirt experiment, and the humiliating pool party misunderstanding all appear comic on the surface, but each forces her to separate personal taste from personal value. She slowly learns that liking pink does not make her foolish, just as wearing black does not automatically make Kimberly thoughtful or politically aware. Style can communicate identity, but it cannot reveal a person's entire character. The school's activism also becomes more complicated than Elle first assumes. Dustin and Kimberly speak passionately about justice, worker pay, feminism, and corruption, yet both can become cruel when dealing with someone they dislike. Elle may understand fewer political terms, but she is often the person willing to visit Donna, raise money, organize students, and publicly challenge powerful adults. The series suggests that social awareness means little without empathy, while kindness without awareness can cause accidental harm. Elle needs Dustin's understanding of systems, and Dustin needs Elle's ability to persuade people who would otherwise ignore him. Donna's behavior remains morally complicated. She helps students, bends rules, and gives money to teenagers who need it, but taking funds from the school safe places everyone at risk. Her later confession appears to confirm the accusations until Elle recognizes that the evidence has been manipulated. Donna's willingness to accept blame to protect Liz shows why the students trust her, but it also demonstrates the danger of solving problems through secrecy. Had Elle accepted the official story, the principal and mayor would have continued stealing while Donna carried the punishment. The principal is exposed partly because he underestimates the students. He assumes teenagers are too distracted, divided, and powerless to examine financial records. His confidence allows Elle's group to enter detention, manipulate the janitor, create a flood, and photograph documents. Their plan is chaotic and sometimes ridiculous, yet it works because each person contributes a different skill. Dustin understands the cause, Liz understands the people, Miles handles practical tasks, and Elle turns confusion into opportunity. Even Kimberly eventually becomes useful. Her influence persuades reluctant students to record honest testimony. The shift does not erase her bullying, but it prevents her from remaining a one-dimensional villain. She cares deeply about Shannon and Donna, and when the crisis becomes serious, loyalty matters more than rivalry. Elle's ability to work beside her without demanding an apology is another sign of maturity. Madison's anger also deserves sympathy. She and Elle spent more than a decade believing they would always be each other's first priority. From Madison's point of view, Elle moves away, discovers new friends, abandons their shared scholarship plan, and forgets a scheduled visit. Dustin's joke that he has never heard Madison's name confirms her fear of being erased. Elle does not intentionally replace her, but she avoids difficult conversations until the silence becomes betrayal. Their conflict shows that personal growth can still hurt people who remain connected to an earlier version of someone. Madison wants the old Elle because that version made her feel secure. Elle cannot return to being that girl, but she should have explained the change honestly. The cold goodbye reflects a friendship that may not be permanently over, though it can never continue exactly as before. Shannon experiences an even deeper betrayal. She welcomes Elle, gives her a gift, defends her individuality, and offers advice that makes the first school party successful. Then she loses her mother and learns that Miles has feelings for Elle. Although Elle attempts to delay the relationship and protect Shannon, secrecy prevents that care from being visible. When Shannon finds the old article, it confirms every fear that Elle's affection was temporary and performative. Elle's public apology fails because trust cannot always be repaired through one speech. She is accustomed to solving problems with a dramatic gesture, but some wounds require time, consistency, and a willingness to remain present while others are still angry. Leaving Seattle immediately repeats the escape pattern she criticizes in her mother. Her eventual return matters because she comes back without knowing whether anyone will forgive her. The accidental meeting at the airport gives Shannon and Elle the private conversation they never had at school. Away from the crowd, the magazine article, and Miles, they can recognize that both acted from grief and fear. Shannon's permission regarding Miles is not ownership of him. Rather, it releases Elle from the guilt that has kept her emotionally frozen. Shannon understands that her relationship ended before Elle openly pursued anything, even if the timing remains painful. Miles and Dustin offer different emotional possibilities. Miles is gentle when Elle is injured, protects her dignity, and recognizes the pressure she carries. His affection grows through quiet moments. The hospital visit, the jacket, the walk in the rain, and the conversations about becoming herself. Yet he also handles his breakup poorly and chooses the worst possible moment to confess to Shannon. His kindness does not prevent him from making selfish decisions. Dustin rarely offers comfort in a traditional way. He teases Elle, judges her appearance, drags her into activism, and openly challenges her assumptions. Still, he repeatedly appears when she is confused or alone. Their arguments create intellectual and emotional intimacy. His final confession suggests that what began as irritation gradually became admiration. The season therefore ends with a choice that is about more than attraction. Miles sees and protects Elle's vulnerable side. Dustin pushes and understands the side that is learning to engage with the world. Elle may need time before deciding whether either relationship is healthy enough to pursue. The title of the story may suggest a light teenage comedy, but the plot repeatedly explores class, image, labor, public shame, corruption, grief, and the difficulty of changing without abandoning the people connected to one's past. Humor keeps these subjects accessible. Orange jackets become evidence of adultery. A rat becomes part of a burglary plan, and a swimsuit becomes an unexpected declaration of confidence. Beneath those jokes, Elle is learning how consequences work. Her greatest strength is not intelligence in the traditional academic sense. It is emotional persistence. Elle can be humiliated repeatedly and still return with another plan. That quality initially looks like ignorance because she does not recognize when people want her to leave. Later, it becomes courage. She keeps believing Donna deserves justice after adults, lawyers, and students have surrendered. Her greatest weakness is the same trait without reflection. She acts before understanding, assumes enthusiasm will solve everything, and exposes information that does not belong to her. Growth occurs when she keeps the optimism but adds listening and strategy. By the final scene, Seattle is no longer a gloomy prison. It is the place where Elle failed publicly, discovered injustice, experienced grief, damaged friendships, and learned how to repair some of them. Los Angeles still represents beauty, fashion, and opportunity, but it also represents a protected life where consequences could be avoided through money and relocation. Returning to the formal is therefore Elle's most important choice. She runs through traffic not merely to attend a party, but to prove she will no longer disappear when relationships become difficult. Whether she chooses Miles, Dustin, or neither is a question for the next season. The answer that matters now is that she chooses to stay, face the people she hurt, and continue becoming someone whose confidence is based on character rather than approval. The closing image also brings the season back to Elle's original birthday list. She wanted popularity, cheerleading, and a relationship with the most desirable boy. In Seattle, each wish is transformed. Popularity becomes community trust. Cheerleading becomes organizing people around shared causes, and romance becomes a difficult question rather than a trophy. None of the wishes arrive in the form she expected, yet all of them push her toward a more meaningful version of herself. Her pink wardrobe remains important because the story never asks her to erase what makes her distinctive. She does not mature by becoming darker, quieter, or less feminine. She matures by understanding that femininity, wealth, and optimism do not excuse ignorance. She can love fashion while caring about wages. She can plan beautiful parties while raising money. She can remain cheerful while acknowledging grief and corruption. That balance is why her return matters to the others, even when they are not ready to welcome her immediately. Elle brought energy into a school that had mistaken cynicism for depth. The students brought reality into a girl who had mistaken comfort for happiness. Their influence moves in both directions. As Dustin leans toward her and Miles watches from across the room, Elle is no longer the girl waiting nervously for Josh to complete a fantasy. She is standing inside a life she helped create, surrounded by unresolved relationships, hard-earned friendships, and choices that belong entirely to her. For the first time, uncertainty does not frighten her. It proves that her future is open, complicated, and her own.